Okay. So, all right. So we're gonna break apart your site a little bit, Jeff. And the website is silvercoininvestor.com, and it's about investing in silver, obviously. Now, before we get started with kind of looking at anything, we need to take a bit of a snapshot of where you're at, right? Where what your traffic is at, what your revenues are at, and we talked about this earlier, and you gave me this statistic, right? And if I scroll down the page a little bit, you guys can see that interspersed with Jeff's content, there are also some distractions, you could call them. There's some AdSense ads. Okay, but we're not going to focus on that because whether or not Jeff has AdSense ads on his site is a bit irrelevant to the point of how can we improve the sales process and the lead acquisition process that he has in place that's already working. Okay, so the idea behind this webinar is a bit of how can we take existing traffic, existing people who are opting in, and just make more sales on those people, right? And the much vaunted statistic is that it's 5 to 7 times more expensive to acquire a customer than it is to keep him or her. And if we zoom over to Jeff's Google Analytics, you can see that we have unique page views selected, and Jeff is getting on average something like 600 uniques a day, which is really good, which is a very nice. I'm sure a lot of you guys listening would probably love to have that much traffic. And these spikes here are from emails that you send out. I guess, Jeff, you send these out, what, every 1, 2, 3, 4, every 5 days or every 3 days?
Yeah, on average, yes. Yes.
Okay. So we're going to ignore these spikes as well, and we're just going to treat it as sort of a running average, because, again, the point is that there is traffic, there is a sales process, and the numbers that you shared with me, and I know we both know this already, but you may as well just kind of say it for the sake of practice. Like, how much are you making now from each of these, from each of your revenue sources, Jeff?
So the membership program, which is one sort of end of the rainbow, end of the funnel, goes between $600 to $1,000 a month, and the AdSense averages between about the same, pretty much about 600 to 800 a month. And the third piece of it is that we recently did we put on a webinar, which the live webinar actually was the biggest surge, but then we've been selling the replay, and so it averages out to I guess around 1,000 a month. Can't remember exactly what we said, but yes, something. We'll get those figures straight.
Cool. And you said that you put a PS at the end of basically each of the emails that you send out, offering to purchase the webinar, right?
Correct. And yes, in addition to now, traditionally I had launched the membership program quarterly, but now we launch it as in the very beginning of the email autoresponder series. So by email 3 or 4, I let people know that we have like another tier or more sophisticated content that which sends them then to a sales page for the membership program.
Okay, cool. So basically, on average, you were making something like, let's say 2,500. Speaking really conservatively, it's probably more on some months, right?
Right.
So, but even let's say that if we were really conservative and say that your non-AdSense revenue was 1,500 a month. Okay, if we could double that, which I think is totally doable, as you guys will see here in a few minutes, if you could just double that revenue without spending any money on lead acquisition, without running any ads, just using your existing traffic and website, I think that would be a really easy win for you. And it also would just be a good exercise in taking what's already working, because you obviously have two 2 offers that convert and just selling them to more people who see your site, getting more eyeballs to those offers. So we took a look at your traffic. Okay, you have good traffic numbers. Now let's just take a quick glimpse at your homepage. And for the purposes of this demonstration, of this webinar, we're just going to look at the homepage. Okay, we're just cutting out a little section here because Jeff has other pages on the site here and they all have their own opt-in forms and everything. So you are collecting leads from pages other than the homepage, but if you can do this for one page, then you can repeat this process for every page where you have opt-in forms, right?
Correct.
So here is your sort of homepage, your lander, and it's got a headline and then it's got a video where you sort of convince people to opt in. And then here's the graphical representation of what they get, which probably could be improved a little bit, right? And then there's this opt-in form, which is a little bit unassuming. And then there's another opt-in form all the way down at the bottom. Okay. Let's just see what happens when we opt in. Say Vic. Oops. Okay. Well, that happens for one thing. But it's okay. Okay, so vicdorfman@gmail.com. And I'll tell you guys why I'm actually going through this in a second. So here, if we look at this as a funnel, right? If we look at it as buckets, right? As distinct pieces of a sales process that we can take each of these out individually and say, okay, here's the landing page. It's converting at 5%. It's actually converting at 6% right now. About what can we do to improve the conversions, to double the conversions on the landing page? If you could just do that, then theoretically you'll be doubling your revenue, right? And we'll be looking at 3K a month instead of 1,500. Then when we opt in, so let's go ahead and opt in. Okay, we get taken to the confirmation page. Okay, and so Jeff is using a confirmed opt-in, and this is sort of the accepted standard with email marketing. Is you want to get people's permission to market to them, A, and B, people who actually confirm, who are actually interested in what you have to say, and aren't just putting in a BS email to get your freebie. Those are the most qualified leads. So that's the idea with asking them to confirm. Okay, and you're saying here you must confirm your email address, and then you have a video of you explaining why that's the case. So the point of this being is that this confirmation page, or this please confirm page, is an important second step. It's an important part of the funnel. And the reason I say this is because if we go here into Jeff's Aweber account, okay, here I am looking at the email list to which the opt-in forms that we were just looking at are connected. The one on the sidebar and then the one at the bottom of the homepage. Now you can see Jeff has a nice amount of subscribers here, okay, rounding 6,000. And let's just look at the past 30 days worth of subscribers. Okay, so 128 subscribers, so that's roughly four subscribers a day. Not bad, right? However, look at all of these confirmation pending entries. Okay, and in fact, if I create another filter here, and I filter for people who have not confirmed, okay, oops, is not confirmed, not confirmed. Okay, you'll see that we have 35 subscribers out of 128 who never even confirmed, right? So I'm not a math whiz or anything, but let me, 35 divided by 128, Okay, so that's 27% of people who never even confirmed their email, never received any of Jeff's follow-ups, never saw any of his marketing messages, never bought, never gave him a single penny or silver or
Ouch.
shekel. Yeah, that's a big percentage, right? That's over a quarter.
Huge.
And so if just looking at this, if we could reduce this by, let's say, half, okay, then I don't know how many percent exactly that would be to Jeff's overall bottom line, but the point is that if we come back to this please confirm page and we find a way to refine this and say, look, you're not going to get anything from me if you don't confirm. You could even put it, and I've seen guys do this. I do this actually, is you can put a countdown timer here that runs for 5 minutes, okay? And it says something like, and I stole this from Ramit Sethi, the I Will Teach You to Be Rich guy. And he has this really, really cool confirmation page, but it basically says, there's a little countdown timer and it says, most people never take action past the first 5 minutes. So hurry up and confirm now. Go to your email inbox now. And it's interesting too, because you're saying you must confirm your email address, but you're not telling them, hey, go to your email inbox now. Or maybe you are in the video. And click on the link in there. And once you click on the link, then you'll be taken to get your free thing. Okay. So this is another distinct step in the funnel where you can reduce the number of non-confirming subscribers and basically increase revenues. And this is a really easy win, right? These are really easy wins because these are already people who are coming onto the site. Next step in the funnel, and actually before I move on to the next step in the funnel, I want to take a quick look at the homepage again, okay? Because I want to point something out to you guys and see if you can spot the same thing that I've spotted. Now you'll see that Jeff has an opt-in form here on the sidebar, and then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, he has another opt-in form here. And this is the same exact opt-in form. This is the same exact code in Aweber, and the opt-in form is this one right here. Okay, you can see it's converting at 5.6%. But the question is, which one of those forms is converting at 5.6%? Because what this statistic actually refers to is how much all combined instances of this opt-in form convert together. You see what I'm talking about, Jeff?
Yeah, so it's the code is the same for each of those forms, so it's hard to know which one is actually working or not.
Yeah, exactly. So for all you know, this one could be converting at 1%, and this one could be converting at 4.6%. And why is that relevant? Well, because it would tell you, or would give you an indication at least, that, well, okay, most people probably don't go above the fold. And by the way, or below the fold, I should say, and we discovered this when we were kind of practicing the other day and chatting, is, okay, on my screen, or on your screen, I should say, you have a higher resolution computer than I do. So for you, the opt-in is above the fold. For me, the opt-in and half the video are below the fold. And a lot of people never make it below the fold, is the point of that. So just even in what we've talked about so far, these first 15 minutes or so, we've already kind of come upon three big realizations, or one big realization, that you can break each component of your opt-in process down into distinct chunks, okay, one at a time, very actionable, very easy to do, and improve those with your existing traffic. Now, if you don't have much traffic to begin with, then you should probably focus on, building up some content and et cetera, getting some traffic coming in. But once you're doing, above several hundred uniques a day, then you have something to work with, right? And you have the numbers to measure things. Now, what I didn't talk about yet is I talked about the please confirm page, but the actual landing page, the page that people come on, is also quite crucial, right? Because this is where, in the first few seconds, essentially, most of the time, people decide, um, well, is this a page that I really want to stay on? And Jeff and I kind of talked about this before, but ideally, you want to have a landing page, or your home page should have a focus area at the top where your only option, the only action that you're encouraged to take, is to opt in. And I can give kind of another example here from uh, another famous blogger slash internet marketer type. Okay. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Marie Forleo. She's kind of the Oprah. There's Oprah right here. But she's kind of the online Eben Pagan for females, you could say. And you see that, okay, she has a nice looking site, and her blog and her contents show up just like any other blog. But the focus, the first thing you see when you come on the site, and kind of your eyes track to this opt-in form. Okay. And then everything else is secondary, because if people don't want to opt in, okay, then it's fine for them to be distracted. But really, what you want is their email address. And similarly, if you can get rid of if you can get rid of the sidebar, which I don't know if that's possible with this technology, but let's say that you could. If you could get rid of the sidebar, center the page, you could even get rid of these headlines, because your video automatically plays and acts as the attention grabbing element anyway. But basically make the landing page more compelling, and even run some tests, which is beyond the scope of this particular webinar. But basically figure out how to make this landing page more compelling. I'm positive that you could take this 5.6% on the homepage and double it. So if you could take your homepage opt-ins and double them, that doubles your revenue right there. If you could then take your confirm rate and double that, that doubles your revenue again. Is that right? Is the math on that right, Jeff?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So that's 4x the revenue from just optimizing 2 pages, basically. Now, I know also, like, some of this is theoretical, right? Because some people don't confirm because they have no intention of confirming. It's not a simple matter of, let's make a please confirm page that's more compelling, that's automatically going to make people want to confirm more. No, like, some people, they just want the freebie, they put in a bogus email, and that's the last you see of them. Okay, that's fine. Those people aren't going to buy anything from you anyway. But we really can't control that, right? So moving on, and I'm kind of rounding. Jeff and I, we kind of intentionally decided to keep this my segment short and to the point, short and sweet, so that that Jeff can ask some follow-up questions, and that I can come up for air, and you guys can answer some questions as well, or ask some questions. And let's see here. Let's opt in again. I already did this. Oh, here we go. Okay, it's probably going to say I'm already subscribed, right? Let's see. Okay, it wants me to enter a CAPTCHA. I think it's only doing this because I already submitted it one time. Okay, so it says you have not yet confirmed your subscription, so let's open my email. Let's confirm my subscription, and then let's see where it takes me from there. Okay, and I'm going to open my new browser here. Am I talking too fast, Jeff? What do you
No,
reckon?
this is perfect pace.
Okay. Okay, so here is the email from Dr. Jeffrey Lewis. That's you. You're a doctor?
Yep.
Oh, that's all. How long did that take?
Too long.
Yeah, I didn't until I didn't even get my BA. I was in college for 5 years and I left with a associates.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I think there's a lot to. I'll always be a student, but I'm glad that I'm not paying to be a student like I was. So that's the
no, and the whole debt forgiveness or no debt forgiveness for student loans is insane too.
right.
But back to the task at hand. Here is your confirmation page. And at this point, you've already captured their email address. You've captured um, they've confirmed as well. And at this point, I think you're instructing them to go and check their email again, if I'm not mistaken. And then they get this email, which gives the guide to investing. Okay, now you can download the guide, check it out. Now, question is, what can you do here to sort of further optimize things? And this is something you'd have to test, okay? And I don't want to get too off on a tangent because the first few things we talked about, they don't really require much testing. You simply try something new and then you'll see whether or not your percentages go up. So they don't require A/B testing, I should say. You can just change and watch the effect of the change. But with something like this, and I've had clients do this with great results, is on this thanks for confirmation page, or even on the please confirm page, they'll have an offer, like a one-time offer, an OTO, which says like, look, thanks for becoming a subscriber. This is an offer I make for all new subscribers. You're going to get, the membership plus the webinar replay for X amount per month. And what did you say you charge for your membership, Jeff?
$9 a month.
Okay. And the webinar replay is 97, right?
Right.
Okay. So you can sort of bundle these together somehow and say, look, this is a one-time offer. You're never going to see this again. So if you're interested in this, take advantage of it now. If not, no big deal. And I'll be sending you lots of cool free tips via email, etc., etc. Now, okay, so this actually, I wasn't planning to talk about this, but it just dawned on me that this is important. So I'm just going to, and what that is let's go to the for this particular list. Okay. So you've got quite a lot of, okay, you have 34 follow-ups. That's really good. Okay, and it's loading the open rates. So any minute now we'll see those. Okay, while those are loading, I want to point out that some of these emails have a spam score of over 0. And in those cases, it might be worth your while, Jeff, to actually retitle these emails so that the spam score goes down. Because what that means is that, I'm sure some of you guys have seen this, I've definitely seen this with my clients, is that whether or not your email is spammy, and investing is kind of like one of those quasi, it could be perceived as spammy by spam filters, right? Because they have algorithms that kind of determine, well, is this spam or not? And some of the email providers, especially like AOL, Hotmail, some others, have very sensitive spam filters. So you can send a completely innocuous message and it'll never even reach their inbox, or it'll go straight to spam junk. Okay, so anything that you can do to mitigate that possibility means that more people are receiving your communications, which means they're more engaged with your brand, which means they're probably, on average, going to spend more money, or make you more money, I should say. And okay, so just a few things I'm going to point out. So your open rate for the very first email is really high. This is really great. So this means that the vast majority of people are interested. So they're qualified leads, right? They're interested in this guide and they're probably downloading it. And I think there's a way to tell how many people actually click on the link inside. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. But there is a way in Aweber and in most email programs to check how many people are actually clicking on the link, because, okay, it's one thing if they open your email, but are they actually downloading the guide? Or are they just opening the email out of curiosity, or what's the deal, right? So you can sort of gauge their intent a bit. The other thing I want to point out is the headlines. And the cool thing about Aweber is they actually let you split test emails. And I don't know if they just do this with broadcasts or if they let you do it with follow-up emails, but I hope they let you do it with follow-up emails, because otherwise how would you be able to test these without having to put people on two separate lists? But the thing with the headlines is you got to make them compelling. And if we scroll around a little bit, you can see that the general trend is for the open rate to go down as more emails are sent. And this is quite natural because people become less engaged over time. We all know this. But at the same token, you can see that, for example, email number 6 has a 53% open rate, while email number 5 has a 46% open rate. And if we go further down, the overall open rates are going down. Yet, if we look at, for example, email number 19, it has a 40% open rate, whereas email number, let's say, 14 has a 34% open rate. So all of these little things, they seem like little things, but taken as a gestalt, okay, to use a fancy term, all of these little optimizations add up and become more than the sum of the parts. And that's really the name of the game. Is you have a bunch of traffic coming in. These are all people who could be your customers. So you want to tighten up all of these little loose ends and get rid of these spam scores, jack up these open rates, optimize each portion of your lead acquisition process, and then without having to do anything else other than improve your current setup, you can double, triple, quadruple your revenues. Okay, so that's pretty much all I had to say, and I wanted to kind of leave it a bit of a cliffhanger and let Jeff follow up with some questions and let you guys follow up with some questions. What say you, Jeff?
I think that's great. I think perfect, really. I have. Should I throw out some questions now, or?
Sure.
So, and I think what I can do is also, and more questions will come up, I'm sure, as I process all of this. But one question was, so where do you find the statistics for, in Aweber for each follow-up email? I think it's in the same place where you would look at, broadcast statistics. So they have a general statistics section. So I think I answered that question. But would you suggest, so all of those follow-ups, that whole follow-up series, each of those emails, as you were, showing the difference in the open rates, it occurred to me that while I have now been including offers in the broadcast emails, the emails that go out other than the follow-up series we were just looking at, would it be wise, or how would one, what do you think about, and then how would one actually implement maybe dropping those same offers? So in other words, I can't remember if we talked about this before, but the way that I'm now promoting the webinar is by adding a PS to the broadcast emails each week, the the 1 to 2 emails that go out each week, in addition to the follow-up series. But the question is, should I add that PS to the series, which looks like an e-course. So in other words, putting the offers in front of people, much. I mean, they do come in, but they don't come in consistently. They're more like teasers, I guess.
Well, I would say that with your current traffic, and by the way, in this case, you're getting a lot of traffic, but you're not really getting that many opt-ins. So um, it wouldn't really be statistically significant. But this is one of those things to where, unless you've done it before in this niche, right? Because you can't necessarily transport your findings from one niche to another. You can't really get a statistically confident read on that question. You can't really answer that question. But what I would say is that if we go over to subscribers, manage subscribers, if we can look at your current unsubscribe rate, right? Not your confirmation rate, but specifically your unsubscribe rate. Actually, we can calculate this ourselves, couldn't we? So let's say we filter for people added in the past 30 days, right? We had 128 subscribers. Okay, let's go 60 days to just get a little bit more people. Okay, since 5/1. Okay, so we got 211 subscribers, and you know what? Screw it. Let's do it for the whole year, because you've had this follow-up sequence in place this whole time, right?
Right.
More or less. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now this is a much better number, 943 people, and the question is, how many of these 943 are unsubscribed? Okay, only 13. So that's really cool. So that means that the people who subscribe to your email newsletter and confirm their subscription, because those who don't confirm never have the opportunity to unsubscribe because they're not subscribed to begin with, of those people, very, very few actually unsubscribe from your newsletters. So that tells me that they're quite engaged, that they're interested in what you have to say, and also based on your open rates that they're pretty interested in what you have to say over time. And one thing you could do is you could just put those PSs in there and see if you start noticing an inordinate amount of unsubscribes, right? Because I mean, yeah, I think the only way to tell would just be to do it.
Yeah.
And just don't be afraid to test that, because what's the worst thing that can happen? And I'm asking that question seriously, not rhetorically. What is really the worst thing that can happen? A bunch of people unsubscribe, but then you just change it back. Easy.
Yeah. Good. Another question that I had, and it may be something easier to answer it may not be that easy to actually demo, but so if I wanted to test, let's say I was able to create a new landing page that or a B version of that landing page, and I wanted to test it against the A. Is the best way of doing that using Google Analytics?
Yes.
Okay.
And
is it possible just to show everyone and me, of course, a really quick, okay, here's the section where you go, and I can read and kind of figure out the nuance, but just sort of a general direction of, because I bet you kind of know exactly where to go, and it would probably take me every time I open analytics. I don't know about anybody else, but it's so overwhelming, all of the different options, and I just kind of end up clicking away from it. But
you know what, I can do one better than that, because I think me showing it would it would run a little long, A, and B, I think it'd be better if anybody who wants to set up an A/B test and get, if you have enough traffic, meaning at least a few hundred unique visitors a day, then you should always be testing. Always be testing. But I'm gonna paste this link here. Okay, and this is from my buddy Shane Malach. Some of you guys might know him. But here's a link to a very, very simple guide with images on how to A/B test using your Google Analytics account. And it's completely free to do, very simple to set up. And they even have a video here to show you how to do it. And it explains it a lot more succinctly and in a prettier way than I would. So hopefully that'll be of use to some of you.
Perfect. That's great. That's great. Exactly what I need. Well, I think, Vic, that this is great. I have a whole list of, I have a list of actions that, I can begin putting in place. And it all, it's all very straightforward. And, I think that always the big test for me is when it's time to make some changes. It's this question comes in. Well, how do I do it? How am I going to do this? Or the barrier is like, well, I've never done that before, or I'm going to have to learn this software. And yeah, maybe there's a little A/B testing I need to learn, but I think I've been down that road before, so it shouldn't be so bad. But these are all very reasonable, simple to implement, and they all have rational, calculated endpoints that we can hit. So I think this is great. I can be off and running.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I think to answer your point, or to elaborate on what you said, yeah, there's always kind of all of these, and we all have them, even if you're like a technically oriented person, which I would consider myself to be to some degree. I still dread like setting up an A/B test if I've never done it before. And there's actually a really good book that kind of addresses this. It's more geared towards artists and musicians, but it's called The War of Art. Really cool book, and it kind of focuses on this topic of resistance, right? That we feel this kind of looming, this vague reluctance to do things. That's why we procrastinate. But that feeling, if you can tune into it, is actually a really good guide as to what you should be doing. Like if you wake up in the morning and you're looking at your to-do list and you see that one thing and you're like, oh man, I really don't want to do that freaking thing. And then you do that thing as your first order of business. Whatever you do next, you'll probably feel good about for the rest of the day. But taking it to a more concrete level with this particular site and these examples. Okay, so I talked about a few different things. If I were in your shoes right now, or if you had hired me, for example, then the very first thing that I would do to give you guys an action step here is I would go to the page that says please confirm, and I would optimize that. And let me actually show you guys what my confirm page looks like. And I'm not claiming it's amazing or anything, but I just wanted to show you the example that I stole. I stole this from Ramit Sethi, that has a few kind of psychological triggers built in that probably make it a more effective confirm page. And in this case, or in Ramit Sethi's case, there was a picture of Ramit, and he was kind of making this little sad face, and he was saying, I'm sad. And it's just, why? Because you haven't confirmed your email by clicking the link in your inbox. That means I can't send you my informative report. Make sure to check your spam folder. By the way, Jeff, you might want to add that to your page. And then a short visual representation. And I thought I had a timer here, but I guess it's gone for some reason. I'll need to put it back in, but I did have a timer here. Now it says, P.S. Don't wait. 80% of people who confirm do so in the first 5 minutes. So you're putting some scarcity. Most of these elements that we think belong on a landing page or on a sales page, like scarcity, social proof, you could use those elements in every aspect of your marketing, including your please confirm page. And why not? You want more people to confirm. So it makes sense to implement these triggers to get that action. And so this is the first thing that I would do, just as a kind of general suggestion for people in the same situation.